she responded flatly. Eddie chuckled.
When you see Sarah, could you give her my love?
Of course.
I sure do hope those Magnus boys are being good to her. Not sure about that Zach Sheridan fella.
Miki fought the urge to roll her eyes. They'd all babied Sarah. Of course, she now knew why. Sarah had been one of them. Not of their pack, but a shapeshifter like it turned out most of her town. Apparently, Miki and Angelina were two of the few non-shifting humans within a 100-mile radius.
And we sure do miss her around here.
Yeah, me too.
Then I guess it's about time you got that pretty little ass of yours over there, huh?
I haven't been avoiding her, Fogel. I've been working on my dissertation, and she understands that. They were all like a bunch of old women, chastising her. She could practically see them shaking their collective paw at her.
I didn't think you were avoiding Sarah. Maybe that other fella, though.
Who? Zach? She snorted. I'd rip his balls off and wear them as a necklace.
Nah, not him. The other one. That big fella. Conall, I think his name is.
Oh, give me a fucking break.
Uh-huh.
Eddie looked back at her with those wolf eyes that reflected light just like a dog's.
Did you know you moan Connell's name in your sleep?
The man couldn't have startled her more if he'd punched her in the stomach. She didn't have an answer, so she stepped back into her house and slammed the door. It didn't help she could hear his laughter through the thick wood. She put her free hand to her face to rub her eyes in exasperation, but she smelled her scent on her fingers again. Damn it. Masturbating in her sleep again. Masturbating to Conall. Well, this is spiraling out of control. Conall Viga-Feilan, direct descendant of the Viking overlord Sven Viga-Feilan and the Viga-Feilan pack, dropped face down onto his bed. He was still wet from his third cold shower of the night.
Well, this is spiraling out of control.
How could one woman completely dominate his thoughts for 6 freaking months? He hadn't masturbated this much since junior high. But Miki wasn't just some woman. She was the meanest woman he knew, and her meanness talked to him on a level he'd never experienced before. She brought out the wolf in him, which he'd learned to control a long time ago, but just thinking about her made his cock hard and his canines grow. His whole life he'd had to accept the fact he wasn't like the other Viga-Feilans. His father had been too nice, loved his Irish female too much. His uncle and grandfather had made his father's life a living hell while he lived with the Viga-Feilan pack. It wasn't until he met Bruce Morahan that everything changed. Bruce introduced Connell's father to the Magnus pack. They had a lot of members, and they were always looking for new ones. Jarl Viga-Feilan took his wife and newborn son and left the Viga-Feilan pack for good. Since then, the pack had been trying their best to get Conall to return to the fold, to become one of them. His cousin Einar was especially determined to see him return, but there was no way he'd leave the pack, especially not now. And not because the pack needed him during this time of war, or that pack life really rocked with Zach and Sarah in charge. He wasn't leaving because Sarah's best friend was the woman of his dreams. A mean, sassy Texan with the sweetest smile he'd ever seen on a woman. He loved that smile, loved to think about what that beautiful mouth could do to him. Conall growled. Wrong thought. He shouldn't have gone there. He stood and headed back to his shower when a knock on his door stopped him.
Yeah?
Jake stuck his head in.
I smelled something on our property, but it wasn't pride.
Conall frowned.
Are you sure? It was different, but nothing I recognized.
Conall groaned. That had to be the same damn scent from the night of the rave. The scent he couldn't remember for the life of him. The whole thing was making him insane.
Anybody else?